The Center for Church and Prison is holding a conference this week on mass incarceration and reentry. The center has been a leading advocate in recent campaigns for reforming access to criminal background information, and the focus on reentry is more timely than expected in light of the scandal around the state drug lab. We'd like to welcome as our guest from the center the Executive Director, Reverend George Walter Sleyon.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much for being with us again, Reverend. I want to ask you about the way you describe the conference. This is a national strategic conference. So what does that mean?
Yeah, we refer to it as a strategic national conference because the issue of mass incarceration is not only a Massachusetts issue. As a matter of fact, the rate of incarceration in Massachusetts reflects what's happening all over the nation. Okay, the United States has 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's incarcerated population. At this particular time, there are 7.5 million people on probation, parole, in jail, in prison, or under some kind of correctional supervision. You see, with 2.5 million people behind bars at this particular time. So we feel that the issue of mass incarceration is a national issue. And because it's a national issue, we should begin to look at it from a very strategic standpoint. That is a very emphatic focus on developing strategic solutions to intervene in the issue of mass incarceration, because then you have to talk about the high rate of recidivism. Okay, not only the high rate of recidivism, you also have to talk about re-entry and rehabilitation, you see. So we cannot put this issue under the carpet and say, look, it doesn't exist. It does exist, you see. It's an inevitable problem that is prevailing all over, and the consequences and implications are just becoming real every day.
Well, this is an event that I'm sure is going to include some national experts. You have a keynote speaker, and it's also for people just who live in Boston who are concerned about this in a very direct way.
Yes, we're bringing in Michelle Alexander, who has written the book, The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness. And we're also bringing in Joe Madison and a lot of other experts, legal experts and individuals who have organizations that have been involved with the issues of mass incarceration. Take, for instance, Just Detention International for Washington, D.C. will be represented on several of the panels. So it's for people who are involved, one, with reentry and prison ministry professionals. It's for individuals who have relatives behind bars, who have been struggling with the issue of mass incarceration and their relatives coming back. How do they deal with them? You see, because the issue of incarceration and in a correctional system, it's a culture of itself. You see, a person having been there 5, 6, 7, 10 years or more develop a particular kind of perception, and it's psychologically mental, you see. So how do you deal with those people? We want to provide you with the resources. This conference is a resource conference and skills development conference that exposes you to individuals and organizations that you need to get in touch with. So it's for those who are coming out, it's for those who are already out, it's for those family members and relatives and children of incarcerated parents as well.
And talk about the issue of reentry, because in some senses, a prison, especially if it's a really kind of a hardcore kind of prison, it's like a war zone. You put somebody in a war zone, they make adaptations to survive, and then when they come back, they don't change.
Yes, what has happened is that, in fact, several reports have come out to attest to the fact that if you put a person who is not, quote unquote, a criminalized person, who is not a hardcore criminal, in the U.S. prison system, in the correctional departments across the nation, especially juveniles who are put in mixed up with adult criminals, they develop the skills and perceptions, behavior, and attitude of adult criminals and hardened criminals. And so when they come out, they begin to implement some of those behaviors as well. So what we're talking about in light of reentry and rehabilitation, the process of rehabilitation, the process of reentry begins when the person is behind bars, not when the person comes out, you see, which implies that the system itself should begin to develop some mechanism, okay? Mechanism programs, strategic programs that would target these people, especially the young ones, and yes, the older ones as well, so that when they come out, the goal is to make them viable citizens. How can they fend for themselves economically? How can they develop the skills so that they can experience some kind of economic mobility, work, get a job, develop skills, those kinds of things. It reduces crimes.
It also seems as if you need some mental health component here too.
Oh, exactly. And just to let you know, we are bringing in experts from the Massachusetts School of Professional Psychologists. We have workshops on men and women coming out of prison and the issue of mental health, which people don't talk about as well. I mean, very well. You see, a lot of the guys that are coming out, guys and girls that are coming out, have high rate of mental issues. And the rate of suicide associated with individuals that are coming out of the correctional department system, it's astronomical. It's people don't want to talk about it, but there is high suicide rate, high mental health issues that are associated with these guys coming out. So those are things we want to begin to talk about at the conference.
Right now, we have a lot of people coming out of prisons sooner than expected because of what happened in the state drug lab. How do you see this playing out?
Well, I see this one as a unfortunate incident. You know, sometimes some things happen, you have to deal with it. So what's happening right now is that it puts a spotlight on the Department of Correction, the Massachusetts Department of Correction, and the sentencing process. People have been sentenced. That's one, looking at injustice in the whole process, how things have been played with. You see, evidence have been played with, okay, and people have been given longer sentences. You see, for minor offense, minor drug-related offense, that to a large extent would have put the person in a place where they can be rehabilitated. It's the criminalization of drug offenses, violent drug offenses, especially for women as well and young minority men, okay, in the criminal justice system. So these guys are going to come out. What we are saying is that begin the process of rehabilitation whilst they are in. So when they come out, even if this issue had not taken place, but with this issue taking place, if they come out, they are skilled. The most important thing is for them to earn some money for themselves, find a job, earn some money so that they can experience some form of economic mobility. But the difficulties associated with this right now is they're going to be released, but are they skilled enough? Would they find employment for them to begin to make some money, to take care of themselves, their families, and not go back to either the use of drugs or the selling of drugs in the community?
We should mention, finally, the conference is going to be starting when and where is this going to be exactly?
Well, the conference, a strategic national conference on mass incarceration and reentry, is going to start tomorrow at Boston University School of Law Auditorium at 6 p.m. The keynote speaker is Michelle Alexander. Again, she's the one that has written the book, The New Jim Crow. And it's going to go on up to Saturday. We have Friday morning, we have general sections and panel discussions and workshops. Friday evening, we have a major speaker. Saturday morning, we have huge general section as well. And then Saturday evening, we have Joe Madison from Washington, D.C., who will be speaking. So we want to extend an invitation to all of you that are listening out there. Register, go to our website, which is churchandprison.org.
Is it a free event?
Well, it's not free, but the opening night is free, and you will enjoy it, but we want you to come and support this initiative.
All right. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Reverend George Walter Sleyon.